beloved community. This is Lori Hanau of Global Roundtable Leadership, and I am here with Melissa and Sebastian and Travis and Kate and Tristan, and Dhruva Jagazia is on sabbatical right now, but he's with us here in spirit. And we have started doing these videos on a weekly basis where we talk about the times that we're in with the virus, and also how we can share leadership and share power any day of the week, and also in these times that we're in. And I have just been chewing on, and as a group, we're always talking about the potential of these times to further our humanity. And I was talking with everyone earlier, with this team earlier, about how much I'm seeing right now online that's like, you know, the jokes about drinking, and that it's good to drink, you know, any time of the day, and just and I, you know, have a family where a lot of us need to stay sober, and so I'm sensitive to, you know, just all the joking and even a lot of encouragement about what it means to not be sober, like to encourage a lack of sobriety in these times, and then also again, all the negativity of the times that we're in. But there's not a lot of space, and I know that it also requires sensitivity because of all the people suffering. But there is so much about the fear and you know, the scariness of what we're in. There's a lot of encouragement to, another way to numb out is to watch a lot of screens, a lot of movies, you know, the different streaming companies are offering, or like there's so much talk about how bored we are at home, right? So encouraging us to numb out, you know, naming all the messaging about how bored we are. And yet we are actually in a moment with all the pain that we know of and could be talking about. But what is the potential of being at home in these times? What is the potential to befriend ourselves, to not numb out, to connect with nature and the natural world? There's so much conversation about what's happening and the suffering of humanity, as there should be right now, and all the loss. But we're not also in as much dialogue about what's happening to the earth right now, the healing of the ozone, what's happening to so many of other parts of life. And so we just want to dialogue for a little while about what is the potential of these times, that if we never get these times back in our lifetime again, if we're never quite in a situation like this again, what is the good and the true and the beautiful that we can access right now? And so, and in that, how do we further our humanity through the times that we're in? And so these are the questions, and this is the dialogue I'd love to open up to the group. And so I'll step back for a few minutes and just see what anybody else has to say, what's sparking you right now.
I want to share, Lori, what you mentioned really sparks me. We're in the midst of a storm, and in many ways, this is, I'm going to my preferred area, which is spiritual practice and meditation. It's not something that gets shared constantly enough, I think, in work environments. I have a beautiful quote by Roshi Wendy Egyoku Nakao, who's the abbot and head teacher of the Zen Center in Los Angeles. And she says, whatever goes on at some point, we're able to just sit still in the midst of it. And I think that's a very powerful place to live. I think for me, it has been a very difficult time, full of uncertainty, and I feel myself very connected in that fear to the rest of humanity, to the rest of the world. Very, very difficult times. And I think it is not easy to sit in meditation in silence, because we're faced with all of our fears, with all that anxiety and that inner dialogue that's just going and going, that's being fed by all the bad news that unfortunately we receive daily in our inbox. The biggest invitation, I think, it's to sit in meditation in that silence and to face it. That's the biggest opportunity right now, is to sit in the midst of the storm. If we don't find calm within ourselves, I don't think the outside world is really offering that calm at the moment. If we're able to find that calm inside of ourselves, then we could be that calm for the rest of the people, to our families, to our teams. So it's a little bit of nourishment that we can give in very difficult times when people do need to feel calm.
Mhm. You know, Sebastian, I know that I'm sure we all want to speak, although we don't all have to speak. But I just want to say to what you're saying about the fear, that, you know, there's fight or flight, right? When we pitch up in fear, and usually we're only supposed to stay there for a few seconds. And then we have this capacity within our central, nervous system to calm ourselves. And we can still be with fear, and we can also still be with beauty and what's good about being home, good about maybe slowing down in the world. For for those of us that have these privileges to do that, like, what is the best we're making with these privileges of spending time with our family, and of being able to take walks outside for those who can, and again, like, what are we doing to connect with our humanity from that place, the calmer place, where we can still explore our fear and our struggles, and we can explore what keeps us healthy and what makes us strong, and what's beautiful about the world, and what's beautiful about humanity, and to spend some time in meditation in those ways too. So I know within our own work, we talk about not only the soul and the heart and the spirit of groups and and of organizations, but what are the nervous systems of the people walking in, and the nervous system of a team, and the nervous system of an organization, and what are we doing at home right now individually, each of us, to fuel the health of our nervous system, which helps us to fuel the best in our humanity.
I just wanted to clarify that I mentioned meditation as a radical act to face that fear. In the same ways, it's sort of like embracing the sword. Is not the passiveness of like, I'm just not going to do anything about it. It's actually being very courageous and sitting down in the midst of it, because we are in the midst of it. And by sharing that, I think we're all connected in trying to find that peace as a humanity, Yeah. I'll open it up.
I just want to say that speaking of fear, I had a lot of fear going to the grocery store, and so much so that I could feel my body in fight or flight, and I couldn't even catch my breath. And so one of the things that I've been trying to do, because it's a story going on inside my head about how I fear it and all these things. And so what I've been trying to do, and I'm actually really loving it, is connecting with the people that work there that are helping me and helping my family get food on my table. Just asking them how they're doing, how they're feeling. And a lot of people, I had a woman practically in tears saying, thank you so much for just asking how I'm doing. Because she was just, you could just see all the stress in her face, and just being able to connect with people on a humanistic level and just see them for what they're doing and what they're sacrificing to be there for us. And so that's really helped with my fear of something that I'm trying to bring into my everyday life on a daily basis, as well as when I go outside and go grocery shopping.
Melissa, would you share the story about the masks at the store?
Sure.
Thank you.
So So I was also telling the team today earlier that one of the things I've been doing at the grocery store is because we're all wearing masks now. And so you can't see people's facial expressions. And so I was walking down the aisle and I found myself smiling, but I realized in that moment, oh my God, she can't even see me smiling. So I said, I just smiled at you and I said, and I'm saying good morning. And she was like, oh my gosh, thank you so much, because it's so hard for us right now to read people's faces and interact the way we used to interact. And so it's really been a challenge. And so I said that to her, and then she said it to somebody else, and then it was like a chain reaction. We're all laughing and saying, oh, I'm seeing you smiling and I'm smiling at you. And, you know, so it was really fun. So it became this light and fun activity that was fun.
I love that so much. I'm going to do that next time I go to the store.
Right?
Yeah.
And even how Melissa's energy just changed right now, and Kate, you inviting her to share that story. Right, and the lightness that I see a few of us nodding, of the lightness that I felt come into me and come into the team of us.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Thank you all.
So I think I'll hop in. I think some of the things that I've been thinking about around fear of going into this great pause and some of the resistance I had was thinking about what was I worried about giving up? What was the fear about being limited or not doing? And then really focusing on what am I enjoying in this time? And again, as you said, Lori, it's coming from a place of privilege. I have a home, I'm pretty safe, I have some land to walk in. I get along with my family for the most part, you know, and so some of the things are thinking about what am I really grateful for today, you know, and I'm noticing that my husband and I are, we're actually having conversations more. It's not just flying off in our different directions, and we're laughing more, which is really interesting as we sort of hunkered down and going on more walks together. And these are things that are bringing me great joy and helping to nourish me and relieve some of the fear. And that said, we also, you know, read the news in the morning together and read the stories of the people out on the front lines, and we cry together, and we get a little scared together, and we bring each other back to gratitude and hope for what's going on. So, you know, thinking about what was I so afraid of letting go of when I came in, and we talked earlier, and now I'm starting to think about what am I unwilling to let go of as we start thinking about going back. And the things that I named, I think, are much of that list. It's really about connecting with my family and connecting in new ways with my friends I haven't talked to in so long. And so we're not together, but we're certainly Zooming, you know, and checking in. And it, that connection has been really important to nourishing me and feeding the gratitude and diminishing fear.
And Kate, you yourself, I'm pulling a Kate on Kate, of you yourself mentioned curiosity earlier when we talked, and I was so taken by that. I know that's one of our practices within our shared leadership frameworks, but I love the way you were talking about it. Is there anything more you want to say about that here, or do you feel?
Well, I think it just speaks a little bit for itself, but to be curious about what was behind the fear and curious about how you're willing to shake it up going forward. I mean, if we all leave this time and go back to whatever frenzy and whatever dysfunction or whatever busyness there was in our lives, and we haven't shifted how we go, what a waste of this amazing gift of time and space. So curious about what are you willing to, what is good to give up? What is good to pull back into our lives to be whole and healthy and well? You know, what's driving that emotion, and what do we care to create going next?
Yeah,
that's exciting.
Yeah,
I'm going to build off of something you just said, Kate, because this is something that I've been thinking about this time and about the disruption of this time, the healthy disruption of this time, is that actually if we go back to normal too quickly, that there's a way I think that we may choose to try to forget what we're learning now.
and run, sort of hide from ourselves a little bit. And so I'm hopeful that we are we continue to be disrupted, but to be disrupted in a way that doesn't harm other people. So I'm not wishing for any extension of any suffering, but just an acknowledgement that I think when Lori spoke at the outset around what we're seeing in the way that the global system is responsive to the massive disruption of human activity that's happened globally, it says something about the interconnectedness of life, and also how resilient life is in the grand scheme of things, how much more resilient life is and how much bigger life is than just us. And you know, how obviously our activity level influences life one way or the other as well. So like our power and disruption and also our smallness, it's a kind of an interesting juxtaposition. But I hope that when we come out of it, that we actually hold on to that sort of reminder that life can respond favorably to changes in our behavior very, very quickly. And what does that mean for climate resilience? What does that mean for the kind of world that we actually want to live in, and our responsibility to bring that into being?
Hear, hear.
I'm really appreciating us as a team, and Melissa, I appreciate your big heart. It's always so nice to see how much you care and to hear stories about how you're helping others. And I have so many different things in my mind, fed by everything that you're all sharing. One is one of our guiding principles around we make time for silence, and another is around one of our premises around shared leadership, which is that we're moving toward living systems and away from mechanistic systems. And when I think about our consumer culture or a lot of the different systems we have in the world, there's a lot of mechanistic. We see that transactionally all the time, and we can feel it. We can feel when we're part of those systems too. And I remember a quote a friend of mine said. He was talking about how 100 years from now, people are going to look back at this time and want to read our journals and think about what we're going through and how we're responding to it. And I was thinking, there's no way, like that seems crazy. But then again, I have my grandfather's journal from when he was in World War II. And I was reading about Tolkien, J.R.R. Tolkien's journal. And what's interesting about both of them, Tolkien and my grandfather, is mostly they were writing about like what they were having for dinner, and they were writing about like the birds they saw that day. And occasionally Tolkien will say, I had time to write a little bit more about the Hobbit story that I'm working on, and that was really nice. And like, it's interesting to see how the things that we remember from those times, when we look back and we think about, you were in the middle of a war, or you were writing this book that was going to become, you know, favorites of millions of people. But to them, they were more likely to write about their dinner, like, or their lunch, or things that seemed much more day to day. And it reminds me of what you brought up early on, Lori, and what you, Sebastian, added to around meditation, and how meditation is a huge part of my life. But I think mindfulness is a really nice thing to go along with meditation. And meditation is a little bit like going to the gym, I think. And mindfulness is like walking out of the gym into the rest of your day, where, you know, you can feel the muscles getting stronger. You can feel your ability to like pick up a gallon of milk a little bit easier because you did that work. But really, I think the test is the mindfulness. It's like Melissa was doing, showing up in the grocery store and thinking about how you feel, but then thinking about how others feel and showing up for them, and taking a little bit extra time to care and to ask and to smile. And I love that. I love that image. And for me, I love the reminder that mindfulness is the day-to-day challenge. Like, I don't have to go to the gym every day. I don't have to meditate like every day, but I can stretch my muscles at getting better at being mindful every moment and every day a little bit better. And then I think ultimately that'll help me do better work and show up better for my family and my friends. And, you know, who knows in 100 years what they'll read about what we're going through. But I hope that I hope that it's, you know, inspiring for them the same way it's inspiring for us when we look back and read about people like my grandfather or others. I think that's just such an interesting perspective.
Yeah, and I so appreciate you all and all that's been named, and again, thinking about the potential of these times and what we can be doing to further our humanity, and to remember that even if we're spending some time numbing out, that try to spend 55% of the time present, and then and present to ourselves, and present to each other, that to continue to befriend yourself, and to connect with nature, and to rest and to reflect, even as you may have to move fast, or you're spending, that the news coming in is overwhelming, or you're on the front lines yourself. Like, how can we remember to also tend well to ourselves and to each other in the roots of our humanity, and to look at the uniqueness of this time, and to reflect on what is it that we can listen to that is not only dark, but that is filled with radiance. And let's give 55% of our time to that if we need to give 45% of our time to these other bits. But don't let yourself get too lost in all the messaging of being bored. Don't take on the conditioning of being bored by the messaging, of numbing out. Like, don't just numb out. Like, be alive, live fully, and live into the best of yourself and the best of your health that you possibly can. Thank you, everyone. Thank you, team. Bye for now.